Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today we're looking at the Thursday night football slate between the Chargers and the Raiders. This one is in Las Vegas, so let's get right into it. As always, appreciate if you guys hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow me on Twitter at the DFS Process, and if you want to join, you can visit the website. Link is in the description. All right, so we have a lot of injury news on both sides right now, especially the Chargers side. They have listed Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are game time decisions for tonight. Eckler is also questionable, but he's expected to play. Looking back at the game against the Falcons, you had Keenan Allen miss most of that final drive with the hamstring injury, and the time that he was in, he got targeted, and then the ball got picked off. So Keenan Allen, he definitely is hurt with his hamstring, and Mike Williams played just a couple snaps in that game, and then he left with a back injury. But looked like both did practice a little bit Tuesday and Wednesday, so there's a chance both suit up, but there's also a chance one or both can be out. So we'll just have to wait and see what that news is. Hopefully we get that. I mean, we'll get it later tonight, but hopefully we get it a little bit earlier. And then on the Raider side, they have ruled out Henry Ruggs for this game because he is in the COVID protocol, so he's out, which is just gonna bump up like Brian Edwards, the rookie, to get a lot more playing time on the outside. He just hasn't really done. He started off playing a lot in the beginning of the season, but then you had the emergence of Nelson Aguilar, who's kind of just been a guy that they can't take off the field now. So you have Edwards just become that like fourth guy now. But now that Ruggs is out, he's going to step back into that third guy, but start on the outside probably alongside Aguilar, and then they have Renfro in the slot. So you have Edwards and Zay Jones, both are going to get more snaps, but I do like Edwards just because I think he's the better play and going to get more playing time. So that's the main injury on the Raider side, and then I think Jacobs did have a questionable tag earlier this week, but he's good to go this week. So looking at the top, you have Herbert is the most expensive player on the slate at 11.8 in the flex. In the captain spot, he's 17.7, so he's definitely playable. But it's going to be still definitely a little bit tough to play him at captain. He's slowed down a little bit the last 3 weeks after his red hot start. Last week he completed 36 of 44, so 82%, but didn't throw for 100, only threw for 243 yards. There are a lot of short passes. But hopefully he gets his deep threats back and Mike Williams back in this one. So he's still a good play. I think I'd prefer him in the flex though, just because he's really expensive in the captain spot. I like Eckler a lot. 10-4. He continues to get so many touches out of the backfield on PPR sites like Draftkings. 9 catches last week, 15 carries, 24 touches. Didn't have a touchdown yet. He hasn't had a touchdown since he's been back, but he has still been putting up huge scores, like 23.6 without a touchdown. That is pretty impressive. So I like him a lot today, preferably, in either spot. I think in captain he makes a lot of sense too. Keenan Allen also looks strong tonight. If he's healthy, we'll have to see. If he's in, just going to probably continue to get double-digit targets like he does every single week for the most part. I like Eckler a little bit more if I had to choose just one of them, just because like Eckler gets more touches, but both of them are really good plays. And then I like Mike Williams if he's in. He's only $6,200 with Herbert as the quarterback. He's gotten a decent amount of targets, a lot more consistent targets than he was getting last season. And against this Raiders team, there's a lot of points to be had, a lot of yards to be had on both sides. It should be a high-scoring game. This is the second meeting between these two teams. The first one was a 31-26 win of the Raiders, and you have both teams put up a lot of yards in that game. So I'm expecting more of the same in this one. Mike Williams, 6,200, I think is a really good play. Aguilar is a great play at 74. Waller and Aguilar are the two guys that I'm going to prioritize on the Raider side. And then for value, you have Tyrone Johnson, if they miss one of Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, if one of them is out, you have $5,000. Johnson, who's going to step up and become a huge part of that offense. And you have the kickers, both kickers. You have Carlson has been the better kicker this year, 26 of 28. The Raiders settle for a lot of field goals, so you got to like him. Badgley has been struggling a little bit, but he did have the game winner last week. You can't go wrong with either kicker, but I like the Raiders kicker a little bit more just because a little bit cheaper, is a little bit more consistent, and yeah, that's pretty much what I decide my kickers on. Not looking at either defense. I'm expecting a high-scoring game. Both defenses are pretty bad, so those are two things I can just kind of cross out. Guyton, Balaj, Jackson, just not going to get enough touches. Yeah, all three of them are over $2,000. I would probably go with like Guyton if they're missing a couple wide receivers, but I think Johnson has kind of jumped in front of Guyton, so not really that interested in any of these. These are just kind of fillers. If you play a bunch of lineups, you just sprinkle them in there, but they're not like core pieces. The $400 Edwards going to get a lot more playing time in this one. I like him. He can be utilized in the red zone as well. And that's it. I'm not playing 50-year-old Jason Witten, just not doing anything anymore. So, looking at builds, we have plenty of guys to pay up for and focus on. At captain, I'm looking at quarterbacks at captain, Carr, Herbert. I like Eckler at captain. You can have Waller, Aguilar, and Williams as some cheap captains that you can look at. We make Eckler at captain at 15.6. Definitely want to still probably play both quarterbacks. I like try to get to both quarterbacks. With Herbert and Carr, leaves you with $4,200 left. Probably go ahead and plug in a cheap wide receiver, whether it be Zay Jones or Edwards, to pair with Carr. So you have a nice 2-2 stack right now. And then you can look to one of the kickers if you wanted to. You could look to Hunter Renfrow at $4,800. That would be kind of a Raider stack, is if to do something like this. Carr with three of his weapons in Edwards, Aguilar, and Renfrow, and you have Herbert with Eckler. That's definitely something that's in play. I like Mike Williams on the Charger side, assuming he's in. And then you would still probably like to get to Aguilar. And then if you wanted to not get to, if you couldn't get to Herbert, maybe try to get to Keenan Allen. And then just go a little bit cheaper at captain. Like, definitely can play Aguilar at captain, Eckler, and then you could have saved $900 on the table. Or you can try to move up a bit and try to get to Herbert instead of Keenan Allen here. And down to $100 on the table. It's a nice 3-3 balance stack. You get Aguilar with Carr and Edwards, and then you have Herbert with two weapons in Williams and Eckler. That's definitely something to do. We can definitely play one with Darren Waller in the flex with Herbert. Make maybe a Derek Carr captain team. I like Eckler quite a bit. And then you have Edwards at $400. This opens up a lot because there's a lot of guys to pay up for tonight. And then probably would like to get to one of the kickers. Just miss him by a little bit. So you might have to play Waller at captain, which is definitely not the worst thing because we've seen Darren Waller have some pretty big games, and you still miss getting to Carr by $300. So maybe in this type of situation, Aguilar is the best we can do, and then try to get to like a Mike Williams. So I still kind of settle myself back to what I had in the second one. I think this lineup looks pretty good. You get a high upside play at captain paired with both, and you paired him with his quarterback. You have Herbert paired with two weapons, and you have Edwards as a cheap guy. That's something that I think looks pretty good. If you wanted to play a kicker, if Carlson at 3,600, still would probably get to Edwards here. Make a Justin Herbert captain team with Williams, Aguilar, Keenan Allen, and you still have plenty of cap left, so you can even get to like Darren Waller instead here. You got a lot of Raiders, but like Aguilar and Waller are great plays. You have Carlson as a cheap play, a kicker, and then Edwards at just $400. So I think I probably won't get to Herbert at captain just because I like how it looks better with going cheaper a little bit with Eckler or with Carr or with Aguilar look pretty good at captain, especially tonight with no Ruggs, so Aguilar is like the main deep threat on that team. And then $6,200 Mike Williams. Keep getting myself back to something like this. So you don't have Carr in here, but you have the two weapons that he's going to throw to in Waller and Aguilar. And then you have you have the three main weapons. So if you didn't want to play a quarterback, it'd be different. You could just play all the weapons uh, instead and hope that the quarterbacks throw for a lot of yards, but maybe don't throw for a ton of touchdowns. And that's how something like this would probably win. But looking at the core pieces, I would probably have Eckler. I would still like to get to both quarterbacks, and then I think Edwards is just a little bit too cheap. So that's the Draftkings breakdown. Let's jump over to Fanduel. All right, over on Fanduel, they have Herbert as the most expensive play. Nothing new there. Next, you have Derek Carr at 15K. You have Keenan Allen at 14. Eckler. Out of everybody that's expensive, I think Josh Jacobs is my least favorite. Just because I'd rather get up to like Eckler or Keenan Allen or go down to a Waller. Even I think Aguilar has shown to have a more like upside than Jacobs recently. At least Jacobs has been battling an injury, so last week even though he played, he didn't play as much as you need like a number one running back to play, and especially if you're paying 13,000 for him, he could definitely be splitting carries with Booker once again. Henry at Hunter Henry at 10,000. Don't even know if I mentioned him on the DraftKings side, but seems somewhat in play depending on if they're missing Keenan Allen or Mike Williams. He would be a much better play. I do like Mike Williams at 10,000. I like Carlson. And then if you want to go cheap, you have Edwards at 6,000 if you needed to go that cheap. And then you have Johnson at 65 if in case Keenan Allen misses or Mike Williams misses. So based on all that, you definitely can go with like a Carr or Herbert at captain. Maybe Herbert, Carr. They look pretty good plays to start your lineup with. Eckler, Aguilar, and then 60, or you just have 5,000 left. So nothing pretty exciting at the 5K range, except I think maybe Zay Jones is 55. In case you're missing Keenan Allen today, you have Johnson, who looks pretty good at that price point. And then you have $9,000 for a kicker if you wanted to do that. Herbert is pretty expensive at 16K, so if you wanted to focus on going with like Eckler or Keenan Allen instead, because if Keenan Allen is in and Williams are in, I don't see myself definitely not playing Johnson. So see if we have Carr at captain, still try to get to Keenan Allen with Eckler. You have Aguilar, and then you have $7,000 left for maybe Edwards at 6,000. So that looks okay. I'm not thrilled about going 6,000 with Edwards on FanDuel just because only 5 positions. You're going to need everybody to at least have a really good game. Like, that's such a different price tag than $400 on DraftKings. Maybe instead of Keenan Allen, we take a shot on Mike Williams at $10,000. That'll open up a lot. It leaves you with $11,000 left now. So you just miss out on getting to Darren Waller. But you can go with Hunter Henry. Maybe save some money and just take a shot on the kicker. I probably do like try to get to Darren Waller. And then gonna have to shave $1,000 off here. Maybe instead of Aguilar, just play Carlson and hope that they settle for some field goals today. And then you still have Carr paired with Waller and hope that they get the touchdown instead of Aguilar. So definitely something that is definitely playable or viable today. And then you have Eckler and Mike Williams, 2 guys that should get a ton of looks, especially Eckler. Or instead of Mike Williams, you could go with Badgley and then go back up to Aguilar, just depending on what's suiting you. But I think on FanDuel at least, these 3 pieces in Carr, Eckler, and probably I'll try to get to Aguilar at 10.5 just because he's a lot cheaper than Darren Waller, and he has shown a pretty big upside too. So these 3 look pretty good, and then like I mentioned, you could go with Mike Williams and Hunter Henry, Carlson and or Badgley and Waller, or something like that. If you did want to try to get to Keenan Allen, you could, but then you're just gonna have to go with like Edwards at that cheap price point. So decisions to be had on FanDuel. There's a lot of viable guys today, but I think Carr looks great. Could even play Eckler at cap or MVP because the quarterbacks always get a lot of ownership. But if Eckler gets himself into the end zone, I see him probably being a really good shot to be the highest score on the slate. So Eckler, Carr, and probably Aguilar. Renfro is 75, so he's somewhat in play on FanDuel too. But thanks for watching the video. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it, and best of luck today.